مشاهدي سبوتشات، أهلا وسهلا فيكم بهذه الحلقة الخاصة عبر سبوتشات. ضيفي اليوم الناشط السياسي الأميركي والمعلق جاكسون هينكل. ترى هل هو حقيقي؟ هذا ما سأله المتابعون وتأكدوا من هذه الإجابة من خلال رؤيته في تشييع السيد حسن نصرالله، ومن خلال حضوره إلى الضاحية الجنوبية أيضا، ومن خلال الهتافات التي أطلقها، ومن خلال التغريدات التي وضعها طوال الأيام الماضية على حسابه على تويتر. هذا الحساب الذي يتابعه 2.4 مليون متابع من حول العالم. اليوم جاكسون هينكل معنا في حلقة خاصة. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
يعني it turns out that you are a real person. That's how Lebanese people and Hezbollah supporters commented on your visit to Lebanon to attend to Hassan Nasrallah's funeral. What message you want to convey through this visit?
I'll start by saying that we were here to honor the life of a man who's much bigger than me or any one person, because he stood for something bigger than himself, and he stood for a global resistance against this deep state and the warmongers and imperialism. He stood for the freedom and sovereignty of his people, and ultimately what I feel like he stood for was unity amongst the brothers of the world who stand for humanity. He oftentimes preached about the need for Christian and Muslim unity, and it was something that really resonated with me when I had seen his videos and lectures, or speeches rather. And for the Lebanese people, I just have to say that being in your country over the past week has been a huge honor. Mm-hmm. It was the most hospitable place I've ever been to. And I have Lebanese friends back home in the US, and they told me, they said, Jackson, it's going to be so hospitable. The people are so warm and welcoming. And I was like, yeah, we'll see. And then I came, and it really was. Everyone was so awesome, and the food, the best. I love it. I love Lebanese food and Georgian food are the best.
What did you eat here?
Oh, we ate everything. We'd get a table, and it would be like 1,000 different food items, and you eat a little bit of everything. And I can't pronounce the name of everything, but I love the kebab, lula, like all these sorts of things, and the hummus is so good. I've become a fan of even I was never a big fan of shisha, but then I came here, and the shisha's at every table, and I start to love it.
Bad habits.
Cigars are worse, and I love cigars too. So that's worse for you, I think.
Yani, it's hard for many people to be convinced or to believe that American citizens support Hamas or support Hezbollah. They ask you, are you a double agent?
Well, I gotta say, of course, I support the resistance against the genocidal actors. And the genocidal actors happen to be, Israel. Nasrallah said, Israel is the cancerous gland and the United States is the great Satan. And he means the US government, right? And the U.S. government has a lot of enemies across the globe. The U.S. government says Russia's our enemy, China's our enemy, Hezbollah, Hamas, former President Assad. These are all the enemies of the United States government. But the truth is, everyone leaves out the biggest enemy of the U.S. government. Everyone forgets who's the biggest enemy of the U.S. government, and it's the American people. Because if the American people could wake up and understand that our country is crumbling, we have all this poverty and misery, we have 500,000 homeless people in our country, we have all these people addicted to drugs, and our infrastructure is falling apart, our government is rich and corrupt, and they're starting wars and sending hundreds of billions of dollars abroad for wars and to push LGBT propaganda in Africa or something. It's like, that doesn't benefit me. Blowing up Syed Hassan Nasrallah in a horrific act of terrorism, killing many civilians in the process, that does not benefit the American working class. So I say that those in Africa or those in the Middle East or those in Russia who are fighting against the US government, they are my brothers in the same struggle against the government that is oppressing the people in my own country.
Honestly, how did you feel when you saw the Israeli fighters flying over Nasrallah's funeral?
Well, he's I've never had anything like that happen before. I've never been in a war zone where I've had aircraft fly above me. I've been near the front, very close to the front line in Ukraine, about 2 kilometers, but it was safe at the time, relatively. So that was something completely new, and I had no idea how I was going to react. I assumed something like that would happen. I didn't know if they'd actually drop the bombs or do something crazy, but, you know, my main emotion after reflecting on it was just anger. And because you look at these guys, what did they do? The funeral is taking place, a peaceful ceremony, right? They go to the south of Lebanon, violating the ceasefire. They bombed the south of Lebanon, probably murdering more innocent civilians. I don't know, I didn't see the casualty report. They bombed there, and then I believe the first set of jets that came through, the F-15E and the F-35, after they bombed the south of Lebanon, they came and flew over the funeral. And why does Israel do this? Because they want to flex their muscles and show how strong they are and show all the people that, yes, we did this to Syed Hassan Nasrallah, and we caused his martyrdom, and we can do that to you too. But I look up and I see a bunch of cowards who refuse to fight with their hands, who are hiding in their F-15s or their F-35s or their Merkava tanks. You know, and what is all of this? My taxpayer dollars. They're hiding behind my taxpayer dollars. They didn't build those planes. They didn't build those tanks. They didn't pay for the you know, bulletproof Kevlar vest that they wear, for the helmets that they wear. This is all a charade. It's fake. They act so tough, but none of this is theirs. It's why, again, Nasrallah said, Israel is the cancerous gland of America. They try to act so tough, but it's America that's the great Satan.
But did you get angry when they called or they yelled, death for America, death for Israel?
The people don't want, you know, this government in the U.S. or government in Israel to continue doing what they do. You know, I spoke to one very wise Lebanese woman, and she said, look, Jackson, we don't have a problem with, like, America existing. We don't have a problem with the American government existing. What we have a problem with are the either political, economic, or military means that they use to terrorize our people. That's what we have. We have a problem with the policies and the people who put those policies into place. So when people say these things, you know, I'm not stupid. I know they're not talking about me or the millions of Americans who support the freedom of the Lebanese people or the freedom of the Palestinian people. What they're talking about is the governments that are terrorizing them. So I say, you know, and as for Israel, you talked about this reference to Israel. I don't believe in Israel as a state, so it's all meaningless to me. But for the comments about the U.S., the rage, I can understand why they feel that way.
Do you think Israel will disappear?
Inshallah.
In Arabic.
Yeah, it'd be an amazing day, you know, God willing. Israel is, since its creation, it has been nothing but a terror state. Since its creation, it has been nothing but a state that, you know, utilizes U.S. power as an aircraft carrier of sorts in the Middle East to achieve U.S. military goals here. Israel is a state that has prevented America to have strong relations with other countries in this region. Imagine how beautiful it'd be and how cheap American gas or oil would be if we went to Iran and we said, Iran, we don't want war, we don't want to sanction you. We want good relations, we want to buy your oil or your gas and do good business, fair business with you. We don't want to hurt you. It would be so beneficial to the American people if we could do that, but we have these criminals in D.C. that are you know, obsessed with the idea of just toppling any leader they don't like and overthrowing the governments, and they do it everywhere. Ukraine, Iran, in the past, of course, and many other countries. So, yes, I hope Israel ceases to exist one day.
Many people think that America's survival means Israeli's survival. Do you think so, that when America stops supporting Israel, then all problems will be solved?
Now you're making me daydream, because I look at what just happened in Ukraine. The U.S. government, the NATO powers, the EU, they delivered hundreds of billions of dollars for years in defense supplies, air defense, heavy weaponry, infantry fighting vehicles, tanks, missiles, drones, everything you could ever imagine, right, to Ukraine, and a bunch of mercenaries to fight. And Ukraine, this fake state that was, they lost their sovereignty when the U.S. toppled the government. They were just defeated by Russia. So, you bring that equation to Israel. Well, Israel's received all this support from the United States. And the question is, can Israel survive, or can Israel cease to exist if they're still receiving U.S. support? And I say, maybe, God willing. Imagine how great it'd be. This is why I say I'm daydreaming. If we had all of these powers in the Middle East, strong countries with millions of people. Imagine if they had leaders that were not controlled by U.S. interests. Imagine if Sisi in Egypt was not a puppet of the U.S. and taking all the money. Imagine if the king of Jordan, the Zionist king of Jordan, imagine if he was not a puppet of the West. And imagine if everyone united to achieve one common goal.
Do you think America is a good or honest friend for Lebanon?
Right now?
Yeah.
With the current president, Donald Trump? Well, the current president just allowed F-15s and F-35s, American fighter jets, to violate Lebanese airspace, bomb southern Lebanon during a funeral that was taking place, one of the largest funerals in human history, and terrorize the civilians. So no, I don't think that is a good friend. I don't think a good friend would do that.
There is some politicians in Lebanon who think that America is their friend. What do you tell them? What message you want to tell them?
There's politicians here who think that?
Yeah.
There's politicians here who are probably bought off and paid to say that. I don't know if they actually think it. I do recognize and I'm appreciative of the efforts of some Lebanese men who are trying to fight for, Lebanese interests and what's not in the American sphere. Mossad Boulos comes to mind as someone who's trying to, take the Lebanese position into account. But if we're going to ignore reality and say that America is such a good friend of Lebanon right now, and they're, Israel wouldn't be there without America. How many times has Israel violated the ceasefire since the start of the ceasefire began? Granted, it began, I believe, under Biden's administration, but Israel's violated it, I believe, around 300 bombings or strikes on Lebanese territory, over 400 instances of property destruction. And what does the U.S. do? The U.S., Trump gets in and he says, Israel, here's some more bombs, here's new bombs you didn't have before.
We stand with Israel, no matter what.
Brings Netanyahu to the White House and says, the pager attack was a brilliant operation. It was a fantastic operation. The pager attack, which, by the way, I've been in Lebanon for a week. I can't even tell you how many people I've met who have their stomachs cut open, who have fingers that are lost because of that pager attack. And innocent people that were not fighters or anything like that.
Some people tell you in Lebanon here that what happened is because of Hezbollah and because of the war that Hezbollah started in the borders.
Well, those people, the people in Lebanon right now who are telling me this, they wouldn't be in Lebanon. They wouldn't be in a Lebanese country if it was not for Syed Hassan Nasrallah and what he has done to protect this country. So maybe they should be a little bit more grateful and not believe all the propaganda that they hear from the West, because, maybe they have some sort of a hatred for Shia. I don't know. I don't know what their reason for saying that is. But if you look at the security framework that has been provided, there is no argument to be made as to, is it good, is it bad? So, yes.
Many in Lebanon are against Hezbollah, against Hassan Nasrallah, against using the weapons outside the framework of the state. What do you say for these people?
There's no problem with that, I guess, if the government ever, did anything to substantially challenge Israel. I saw a video this week where there was a famous sheikh. He was heading back to the south, and the Lebanese military was talking to the sheikh, and they said, Sheikh, don't go there. It's not safe right now. They're bombing at us. And the sheikh looked at the Lebanese, military guy, and he said, well, they're bombing at you, and if I go down there, they'll probably bomb at me too. But if you want to go hide, you can. If you want to go hide up in the north, you can. And he went down, and the Lebanese military, those guys in particular, left. I know that they're still down there. But look, the only reason why the Lebanese military isn't allowed to do these things, again, is because of the financial relationship between the government here and the United States. I don't mean to discredit or disparage the heroism of the military here. But the real problem is the political interests, and it's long-standing, not just with the United States, of course, the French as well. And if Lebanon wants true sovereignty, and they want a military that can fight, and they want a big, strong air force, then they need to fight for Lebanese sovereignty. They can't be puppets of the West.
What message you want to convey to the US President Donald Trump, and what do you want to tell him here from Lebanon?
I stand here in Beirut, and I've seen so much of the terrorism that has plagued this country at the behest of the United States. And funded by the United States. So all I've had to say is that to Donald Trump, look, I've traveled many places, as he has, across the world. And American cities, our major cities, our rural cities, they are falling apart. Our people are dying. They're not healthy. They're addicted to drugs. We have 600,000 homeless people, 600,000 homeless people. It seems to me as though now would be the perfect time to use all that money that Donald Trump is saving with Elon Musk, with Doge, everything like this, on the American interests, on American cities, on American programs. Put America first. Make America great again. Let's not make Israel great again. It seems to me as though all of his supporters would rather that money be spent on American cities that are dying rather than killing people here in Lebanon. And I think that's what we need to focus on.
As we know, your country, America, has designated Hezbollah as an terrorist organization. Aren't you afraid for facing sanctions for being here in Beirut?
I say what I say, and if there are repercussions, God willing, so be it. I'll live with that. But all I got to say is, we all are going to die one day. And the way I see it, anyone who's fighting a war against humanity and against God, they'll never win. They'll never be successful. We all have to meet our Maker. And the people who are trying to silence us, who are telling the truth, and they're terrorizing innocent civilians, and they're terrorizing people who are fighting for basic freedom, when they meet their Maker, it's not going to be a pretty day. So I rest assured that whatever happens in this life, that I have to answer to in the next life, and I'm prepared to do that.
Jackson, weren't you afraid for being killed or for Israel to assassinate you? Because usually Tel Aviv kill journalists.
It was a very unpredictable situation. That's what I felt like. It was so unpredictable. I had no idea what was going to happen. And of course, they had their military base when we went to Odessa. Is that how you say it? It's close, right?
Odessa.
Okay. It was very unpredictable. That's all I felt like. Everywhere is unpredictable, right? When you are saying things that upset people, someone could come on the street and stab you if they wanted to, whatever. This happens too. People are upset with people and they attack them. So if you upset the Israeli military, which has a very long track record of killing journalists and innocent people, and then you go and stand toe-to-toe with them, and you're recording videos about the crimes that they've committed, and you're standing in the destruction and the rubble that they've caused, I think that's a very possible scenario that they could do something to.
The last question, your message for the Palestinians.
My message for the Palestinians would be that the bravery and the honor and the sacrifice that they put forward is something that I couldn't even imagine. You see the videos now of Palestinians who on one street they're walking and everything is fine. The next street there's a bomb going off, and the people keep walking like nothing's happening. I had some planes flying over my head at the funeral, and I was like, whoa, I got all angry, I got upset with what they were doing. The Palestinians, they have hearts of steel, they're courageous, and I couldn't even imagine going through what they've been through. And I pray for the continued peace, but I don't think it will continue or last for much longer. I think we're reaching the tipping point of that situation. And I've got to say that all I could think about this week after visiting the South, and I saw all the destruction there, is that I can only hope and pray that one day it will not be the homes of the south of Lebanon that are destroyed. It will be that Zionist concrete border wall that is destroyed and broken into a million pieces and cast away in the wind as the resistance forces march to Al-Aqsa. That's my hope and dream for the Palestinian people.
Jackson Hinkle, I'm so thankful for your time and for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
مشاهدي سبوت هيك بنكون وصلنا لختام هذه الحلقة. بتشكركم على حسن المتابعة وإلى اللقاء.